Okay, the math section. We're going to start with the theory for the math section. This is going to be just a presentation, the overview of the math section. What should we expect? And of course, the principles. Just like we have reading principles, we have grammar principles, we have principles for the math section. What are the principles of the math section? Well, just the following. I do want you to copy. Remember, when I ask you to copy something, please copy. Doesn't matter if you think you know, doesn't matter if you think you will remember, doesn't matter if you think it's silly. If I say copy, please copy. So, principle number one, all the information you need is provided. There is no extra information that you need. Well, you're going to say, what about the formulas? Well, yeah, you're right. There are some formulas that you need. I mean, all the information that you need besides the formulas or besides the theory that you should already know here, meaning all the information that you need plus what you have studied is there, which means we're going to cover all the theory that you need. Okay, there is no extra topic, surprise topic, there is no extra information that you actually need to know. Everything is provided. Second principle, don't solve something unless it's necessary. So you always want to read the question first. This is something I'm going to touch on when we do the theory. Every time we do the theory, I'm going to start repeating this, but you always want to know what you're looking for. Remember, we also do this principle in the reading section. Is like we always read the question because we need to know what they want from us. We cannot give what they want if we don't know what they want. We cannot give them what they are asking if we don't know what they're asking. And finally, use whatever means to get the right answer, and by whatever I mean almost whatever. Of course, don't cheat. Like, try not to cheat on your exam. But other than that, if you have to count with your fingers, if you have to plug in the answers, if you have to guess, if you have to operate by hand, if you have to use your calculator for every single thing, whatever it is you have to use, as long as it gives you the right answer, you just do that. Okay, now remember what I said in the very first video is like we're just here to get the good score, the score that we need in the exam. You're not really here to learn. I mean, you are going to learn. Like, you are going to learn theory. You're going to learn a lot of strategy. You are going to learn things, but that's not your goal. That's not your main goal. That's just an extra step you need to obtain your goal, which is to pass with a good grade or to get a good score in the exam, which is also not your main goal, right? Your main goal is to go study somewhere else. So basically, all you need to do is get the score that you want. And it's very important also that you remember, they don't care how you got the answer. Nobody's going to ask you how you got your answer. Nobody's going to check on your scrap paper. Nobody's going to look inside your brain to see whether you actually knew or you just guessed or you were just lucky. They don't care. So your goal here, get the right answer. Okay, moving on. How is the math section structured? Well, the math section has two modules, just like the verbal section, and it has 22 questions in each module, and it's 35 minutes per module. So you get more than 1 minute per module. In theory, you're supposed to get 1.5 minutes per question. But I'm gonna explain when we start doing the theory that this is not so. Okay, don't worry, because I'm going to explain a lot of a strategy for how to cope with the exam. But you do have to mind your time, but the minding of your time is not really assigning the specific or the same amount of time for every question. Okay, things we're going to do here. You don't have to copy this if you don't want to, but I do advise you to copy. So we're going to learn all the corresponding theory. This is what the videos are about. We're going to use the formulas and definitions that you learn. We're going to use a strategy that we're going to learn, and you're going to mind your time, which is something that we are going to learn. And well, I'm going to explain. Of course, you can just look for strategies, talk to your friends. You can just, whatever strategy works for you, you can use that strategy. I'm just going to give you a set of different strategies so you can choose your own. Things you don't want to do, just like there are things you don't want to do in reading, there are things you don't want to do in grammar. So there are also things you don't want to do here. And the first one is almost the same one as with the reading, with the verbal section, which is you don't try to understand everything. Again, if you don't understand the words, especially words, right? If you don't have the vocabulary, it doesn't matter, as long as you understand what they want from you. But you do definitely have to understand what they want from you. You don't have to care if you use unconventional methods. This is what I was telling you about. if you have to do things by hand, if you guess, if you plug in, if you draw the triangle like too many times, doesn't matter. What you want is just get the right answer. You also don't want to linger on a question. This is about minding your time. You don't want to spend 5 minutes on a question that should take you 45 seconds. And finally, do not leave unanswered questions, just like in the whole SAT. If you don't have an answer, guess. Again, when you have multiple choice, you have a 25% chance of getting it right. Take that chance and guess. Okay, these are the math topics. I know it's a bunch. It's definitely more than what we have been seeing in the reading and the writing. So this section takes longer to study and takes longer to practice. And it's usually what most people need. I mean, most people, on my experience, are better at verbal than in math. You don't have to copy this list. We're going to see this list, but it's what we need. And again, as I told you in the previous videos, it doesn't matter if you already know the topics. I want you to still watch the videos. And I want you to, every time I say, please copy, I want you to copy. I want you to just, not even pretend. I want you to sit down through all of this as a refreshment. I don't care. Just watch the whole thing, watch all the information, copy when I ask you to copy, solve the exercises when I ask you to solve the exercises. Just um, do like go along and you will be fine. If you do the work and if you do the work correctly, trust me, you will get a good answer, a good score. Okay, what is the study plan? Study all the theory. I do want you to copy this study plan. You study all the theory, you copy all the definitions, you solve the exercises for each. I'm going to give you exercises for each. I'm going to give you time. Well, you're going to pause the video and I'm going to solve every exercise I put on the description. And then in addition to that, I have extra homework and I suggest two different books from which you can do your homework. You copy the strategies, and after you finish all that, then you do the practice test, and then you check every single mistake you make, even if it's a mistake of signs, even if it's a mistake of I added 3 plus 4 and I got 6. Whatever mistake you get, you check. Now, when you study, when I ask you to copy, and especially here in math, because it's a bit different from the verbal section, in math you want to have basically three things. One part for the theory, one part for the formulas, and one part for the practice. What do I mean parts of your notebook? So if you have a 100-page notebook, you want 30 pages for theory. You're not going to use 30 pages. I just want you to separate your notebook. So this is your notebook, right? So in your notebook, this is an open notebook. So you want to separate a third of the notebook for theory, a third of the notebook for formulas, and a third of the notebook for practice. Now, the formulas are actually just going to be 5 to 10 pages, depending on how big your handwriting is or just how organized you are. My advice for you is put all of your formulas at the very end of your notebook. Just choose, like, separate 10 pages, the last 10 pages of your notebook, and write down every single formula that I ask you to copy. Write it down there. And then you put the theory, you start the theory at the beginning, and in the middle you can put the practice section, in which you're going to put your exercises and you're going to put the homework that you do in general. Okay, moving on. Oh, remember, use a real notebook. Don't write on a scrap paper. Don't do it on your tablet. Don't take screenshots from the exercises I put. Don't just do stuff on the calculator and then move on. You want to keep track on paper. You want to keep track of your progress. And very important thing, again, as I said this on the very first video, is the progress is not about how you feel. It's about how you're actually progressing. Okay, and the way in which you can see whether you're progressing is with evidence. You need to look at your progress. You need to look at your mistakes. You need to look at the correct ones. It's not about, oh, I feel like I'm doing well, I feel like I'm doing bad. Okay, things to remember. This is high school math. The SAT is just high school math. It's nothing more than that. Okay, this is not college level math, and this is not anything more than what you have already learned in high school. Okay, and this is important because for some students this sounds or the SAT sounds a bit difficult, but trust me, it's actually even easier than whatever you learned in high school. It's just that the question types may be different. So what we're mostly going to do here is learn the question types of the SAT. Remember that there is always more than one way to solve a question. This is why we don't care about doing it in the correct way. There are some ways that are faster than others, and I'm going to let you know which ways are faster when we reach those topics. But basically, there's more than one way, so it's okay. Again, you just want to get the right answer. Always choose an answer, and remember that just like in all the SAT, guessing is okay. Okay, copy this if you have to copy. Now, the recommended material, I usually choose the Nelson Fu, the College Panda SAT math book. This is the book from which I'm going to assign pretty much all of the homework. As a backup, I also use the Varron's SAT math workbook. The problem with the Varron's is that it's actually more difficult than the SAT. I mean, the exercises in the Varron's book are too difficult, and you may think, okay, but it's not better to prepare with difficult questions because then the regular questions are going to look like easy question? No, not really, because you want the exact same level of questions that they're going to ask you, because you may prepare for difficult questions and then when you get the regular questions you may not be able to solve them because you haven't practiced with those type of questions. So the Panda book is definitely more in tune attuned into the questions that we get in the real SAT. Of course, we also practice with official practice tests and with Khan Academy. Okay, so this was the overview of the SAT, and we're going to start with the first topic in the theory.